Okay, so it's so weird how you mentioned the Akashic Records because I started, I stumbled across Akashic Records maybe in February, and I didn't know what it was. It was a meditation. I think like you're the very first one or whatever, and it was so weird. I had a dream about who I was in a past life. And the second thing I wanted to say was how you were saying how karmics they follow you in each lifetime.
Oh yeah, they do. They'll follow you, and therefore there you'll see them again in the next life. That's the thing. And it's always the same karmic theme. Like your girlfriend fucked up in a last life. Your boyfriend, Omira, messed up in a past life. It's like it's like that dynamic. And understand there really is unconditional love between the two. You can't deny. You can't deny, and that is a love that comes with pain that you were taught on some level at a young age that love is painful. Love, I can't trust love. It's like we have to understand why we're creating that at this stage of the game. Because listen, nothing for nothing. Nobody wants to be by themselves for the rest of their lives. And no one has to be. But you have to understand, have awareness, and you have to transmute the energy. And I think that by understanding, first of all, to be like that, you watch betrayal. You watch betrayal. I don't think the betrayal was so much you guys. I feel like you watched the betrayal. And so you inherited that betrayal. And that, again, where you didn't feel like safe. And then there's always this sense of, I can create the balance. I can fix it. Because we always want to rewrite that story. We always want to fix it a little bit. So understand you recognize the pain within that other person first. And I'm just saying, what's the first step to awareness when you're meeting a karmic mate? How do you know it's a karmic mate? How do you know? How can you have discernment? Now, don't say that you girls don't have it because, again, both of you guys are very psychic, very intuitive, very sensitive. It's so, again, it's well, we saw the red flags. We saw right in the beginning. It's like, oh, I like, but there was a sense of comfortability in that red flag. Like, even though the person's a little emotional detached, I could be a little bit emotional detached.
I,
It's what were you gonna say?
but for me, it was like you said, I saw all the red flags. I felt all the red flags.
Mhm.
Um, and but I chose to ignore it because it's weird for me to say, but I felt his pain like from childhood, like before he even told me, and I could feel it, and I think that I just wanted to
Heal it. You
love.
wanted
Yeah,
to heal it, but they
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
get that in yourself. And
Right.
that's the spiritual lesson number one. And
Mm.
number two, you can't deny the past life connection that it's like, listen, there's no other unconditional love like it. The person's broken. They didn't, they don't, that you have to wrap your head around they purposely tried to do it. They don't
Mhm.
care. They don't
Mhm.
care. Where that's not that they don't care, they're detached. They're disassociated from themselves. So, and that's a survival mechanism. So, what happens then is the person lives more by their addictions because they
Mhm.
don't feel good. So, it's almost like a person that is hard of hearing. You walk into their room and they have the stereo on, and it's like, what? And you're like, what the hell? Like, are you deaf? And the person's like, yeah, because it's over. They over. And that's the fight, flight, freeze. Fight, fight, freeze. Addiction is that is like it doesn't feel good. It's a root chakra imbalance. We get fatigue and we have to do outside things to get that dopamine hit to create the balance. So it's a spiritual disease is what you're dealing with. is that the person is literally spiritually sick because they're growing away from themselves. They're growing away from themselves and becoming, and when we see the spiritual war on consciousness, that's really what we see. It's again, you're a spiritual being having a human experience. It's a level of consciousness. So it's not that this person doesn't love. They do love you, and Myra, that they love that homie and that, but they never had it. So there's a sense of you trying to create it to make it them feel better, where you can't. The illusion is that you can. However, you say, well, if there's many different like levels of consciousness that play in at one time, then what would be the most balanced? I get to get what I want. Let's face it, we all have an ego and we all are like what could happen? And Spirit says, you step into your true self, your higher self, because it's to bring that person to me. Because, and that's not by giving them, it's by making them chase you, by making them desire you, by living such a grand life that's so emotionally fulfilling to you. Because this person will be with you and then expect you to fix them, heal them, and then they'll wind up just utilizing your resources where you're like, well, what the fuck? It's like you're a user. You know what you are? You're a motherfucker user. And God says, no, that person is spiritually sick. They have a root chakra imbalance. They again believe that there's something wrong with them. They chose you because they see everything. They see, you don't see. You don't see. What you need to do is heal that's missing within inside you. You can only be this person's teacher on a karmic level. Respect. It's like where you have to teach that person. And that's not a job that you want. You want that relationship again. However, does that mean you can't have a fling here or there with the person? Sure, you can. It's like as long as you're fulfilling yourself so that it overflows and that you're not expecting anything from this person, because that person already has like issues. So any a type of expectation or anything is going to fuck this person up completely. So it's the whole point of not having any expectation of the person whatsoever, and but making sure that you fulfill yourself. You actually have to be stronger than weaker emotionally to be with a broken person, which means you're emotionally intelligent. You don't care what that person wants. You don't listen to whether they're a child. And that's what both of you girls like went along with. It's like, and you can't. They listen. But both you girls have like that. It's not like you're like that with everybody. If I was to come into your house and was like, "Hey, Elmira," like, you just go into your refrigerator and start eating all your fucking food and like sit there, you'd be like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing?" It's like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you do? Like, have a little respect. It's like you wouldn't mince your words, but you both didn't. Like with certain behaviors. Now, they didn't do that with food, but they would do like other things, like say that they were going to show up at a certain time and show up like 10 hours later or not at all. And so right from the beginning of a like, this is the way it's going to be. You have to deal with this because it's me. Where the attitude needs to actually be like, I don't got to deal with nothing. And then and understand that person will get mad. They'll be like, how dare they? How dare they? Do you know how I can have other people? And I'll run it. And they will do that. They will do that because they're a low vibe energy. But then what'll happen is the comparing, and they'll always run back. They'll always run back. They'll always run back. However, abandonment, why it's so hard to detach from a person like that is it's the constant dopamine hit. Like it's again, and it's reliving the childhood trauma. That's what's happening here. It's the reliving it, keeping you in a place where you'll be like, but I don't fucking understand. Like Elmira has said many times, I don't understand because I never had that before. And then understand the Akashic Records will tell you when certain programs are supposed to be activated. Again, we learn at different lifestyles and we can change and reheal. See, I've always listened to my psychic self. I don't really have a logical part of self. I don't like that part because it's always wrong. It never works out. So the truth of the matter is that that's still an imbalance. And when it's time that I need those things to work, they tend not to work. And so you have to say that the Akashic Records, it is not just of everything in your life, but there are certain times in your life that are crucial, that you can make things happen for yourself, right? Where other years that they'll say it's a little bit dormant. Just like you can change your body structure, like when a person is going 30s to 40s, right? If they start to work out in their 40s while the body is going through that change, because there's certain cycles of a person's life, this is where we get cycles. Now, they can actually heal their entire body. Like my father had double hip surgery. I was going to have to need hip surgery because I was walk knock kneed, which means you're very weak in the hips. I changed that because again, during a certain cycle of my life, I made sure to work out. I made sure. So there's things that you can do to shape shift your reality. That's why we do this shadow healing, because it doesn't mean, oh, Myra and Shayla, that you're intuitively maybe not be misled from time to time. So that's when you have to really be grounded and tap into the logical, analytical mind. And that's why I'm saying that there's many cycles within your life, but also cycles within a lifetime. So certain karmic programs are activated at a time, and it would be because this time is more, I'm going to psychically tell you, because at this time it would be more difficult. Your children are getting older, you're in a different phase of life. Yeah, and that different phase of life. And it's mainly because you got married young, you had children young, you learned how to work young. So you're actually able to channel your energy, not just into traveling, which is great because that you are finding yourself, oh Myra, this, but it's more about you like also like investing in how do I want to connect on a bigger level? It's again that will give me passion all the time, that will give me, again, help me connect not just to my community, but that I can see myself differently. And also, so I won't be so close up to the picture when a man does come into my life, because I do want to nurture. I do love that. But Spirit says, hey, I'm a jealous God. You're giving too much nurturing to like that person. And you did your Shayla. It's like you're giving too much, and God says, I'm a jealous God, me first. So you're ignoring that part. And you say, well, why do I have to do that? And God says, only I can change your mind and your heart. Are you 100% happy? Is there everything so fulfilling in this life? And you'd say, well, I am happy for the most part. And God says, yes, but why are you taking this course? And it's like, because there are certain things. And Spirit says, I have to change you and mold you. It's not just about you meeting somebody, because I don't do that. I make you meet somebody when you are stepping into your true self, your higher self, because I need to bring someone to you that's going to help you along your path. Not just someone that's going to teach you karmically, but if you're not invested in you and giving you that love all the time. And I'm not saying that it's like, I think this was a karmic cycle where it's you ventured into a place where you're like, I'm making good money, I feel secure, I feel strong, I can do. So understand, God says yes. So that's when the devil is going to come, because says, oh, what does she wish she has? Oh, a mate. Okay, good. So there's nothing, no passion in your life. There's only, it doesn't mean you don't love your children. It doesn't mean you don't love your grandchildren. There's a piece of pizza pie for them in your pie. You know what I mean? But it can't be 3 or 4 slices of pizza in that pizza pie. Let's face it. It's like no, because you're too young and there's a way, but not if you don't have anything else, and not if you're like, well, where the fuck am I going to meet somebody? I'm going to go online. It's like Vera says it would never happen. And that's why you're still connected to that person. That's why it's so hard for you. It's not because, oh, there's something wrong. It's like because Spirit says, I'm not going to let that go until you learn the karmic lesson. Until you do. And you're like, I don't really want it. God says, that's the problem. It's like, because I'm comfortable. It's like, and God says it takes a mustard seed to make that multiple. You say, well, then what am I supposed to do? And Spirit says, well, you start where you, then that's the anxiety. That's what needs to be cleared. That, where it's like fun. It's like, it's not going to like finding yourself. But I think keeping your mind busy, because it's not so much about even getting in your bodies, and you like to connect to people. So it's, again, I would say teach something. I told you last time. It's like it's to utilize, and you'd be like, oh, it's weird. Where am I supposed to do it? Understand it could be in a park. It doesn't need to always be so. Think outside the box. Your creative genius. It goes for you too, Shayla. It's like it doesn't need to be always perfect, because guess what? People are imperfect. They like authentic. That's what they like. They want to connect with the heart. And that's what God's saying. I'm trying to open up your hearts. Understand there's still like that heart chakra is still, but that's because that first chakra is imbalanced. First chakra, grounded in the body, but it's also why we're here, connected to the whole, one, present present in the moment, in the now, grounded, which is hard to do unless we're passionate about what's happening in our life. Let's face it. It's like otherwise we're just going through the motion, and there's an energy of everything's good, but I just feel like there's something missing. That's the energy, why I said it that way. It's like, it's not that anything's bad, but we want to change that energy because again, there's a little bit of sadness. So understand it's not because there's really anything wrong. I think it's just because, hey, listen, we're down here as spiritual beings and no one's teaching any spiritual information. And that's really what it is. And I know this. You may say, well, what makes you know? Well, I know is because, listen, they said I'd never make it out of high school. I couldn't stay present long enough to learn. I was navigated through my spirit that told me to leave my ex-husband with a 1-year-old. I wasn't a good hairdresser. I lied. I couldn't stay present long enough to learn. I wound up at my husband's company 15 years later. I lied about how long I was cutting hair by the time they knew, but I was the highest salesperson. And my husband was cocky and said, oh, I could teach anybody. I've been in the business for 30 years. I still don't know how to cut hair. I was in classes for about 8 years and we became friends. And God says, no, I used him to help you get out of that situation. You did learn. I mean, it's one thing leads to another. We don't know why we're led when we're living through the higher self, the God part of self. The God part of self is that supernatural part of ourself that transcends whatever spiritual blocks we have, whatever imbalances that we have. So there are inherited imbalances, which again, this is why we learn about the Akashic Records. Now I'm going to just tell you a little bit of knowledge about the Akashic Records. Otherwise, it's going to be very boring for Jason. And I want you guys to also be able to refer back to it. And we're going to do an Akashic Record meditation so that you can like experience. Now, the whole point too, when you do it, any type of meditation that's metaphysical, it's supposed to enhance your psychic abilities. When you're utilizing all your senses. So you have to utilize all your senses when you are. So again, the meditations are usually very flowery, they and just very peaceful, but a lot is imagination. Now, how do you access your clairvoyancy? What grows your clairvoyancy? Everybody has a third eye. Everybody has it. And if you're a highly sensitive person, you have clairsentience, which is, I don't know, I just feel it. Or I just knew it. How did I know? I just knew it. It's that claircognizance. It's like that's that proverbial light bulb that the more that you use clairsentient, the more that you use claircognizance. This is important. We're in a spiritual war. You want to know how to have discernment. You have to utilize the other part of yourself. Just the same way as if you want to make money, you got to learn how to, balance your checkbook or go out and make money or do whatever, do what you have to do to make that money. It's the same thing. And that's because, again, the world's imbalanced right now. And because your higher self will always lead you. So the Akashic Records, this is a term that's all about the metaphysical library. That's what it is. It's believed to contain the collective knowledge of every human experience, thought, action, and event throughout time for everybody, not just you, every single person in the world. The word Akashic is derived from the Sanskrit word Akasha, meaning ether or spirit, signifying the fundamental essence of the universe. Now, here is a little bit of a historical background. The idea of the Akashic Records has its roots in various spiritual and philosophical traditions. While the term itself is relatively modern, the concept of the universal reciprocity of knowledge can be traced back to ancient cultures such as Hinduism, Buddhism. Now, in the late 19th century, popularized the term in the West, linking it to spiritual enlightenment, and which is why we're here today. You're going to, again, learn how to utilize your Akashic Records for your healing. It's a quest really to help you understand yourself the best. Again, the Akashic Records are nature of your records. The Akashic Records are often described as a cosmic database, storing every thought, word, and action of every soul. Now, they are not physical documents, obviously, but rather energetic imprints that can be accessed through your spiritual practices, such as meditation. Some people do yoga, walking meditation. I just think, again, it's about just meditation. Now, to access your records, you believe many people believe that they can access the Akashic Records through, again, meditation or prayer, or, just doing things like visualization practices. Like practitioners experience insights and visions all the time from the practice. It's like almost when you do, it's like I always say, the silver ultramind method. How you hear that tap 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 tap. That when you do it every day, you get into the practice of just knowing how to get back into that space. Maybe not when you're completely stressed out, but when you want to, when you're relaxed. So again, we always want to be relaxed, just like any other meditation practice. Now, the whole point is, again, it's to retrieve your past lives to find what your personal lessons are. And again, obviously, the collective and spiritual knowledge. Now, the purpose and the significance, the records serve as a tool, obviously, for personal growth, and really helps you understand what's your life's purpose. Why are you here? What's your connection to God? What's your connection to every single other person on the universe? If you need so, how do you get your daily bread? Because God says again, your money has no energy. Remember, you're the person that gives the energy. Even though, Myra, you love your job and the money, then it would be, it's just, I love to do it. I'm passionate about it because that's the energy that we want to raise ourselves to in order to attract more passion into our lives. And again, that happens when your mind is not focused on it, that you're actually focused on something else. You let it go, you release it, you're still holding on to it. And it's because there's nothing to take its place, that passion. So I already told you to join things and you did, but I'm still not feeling that energy. I gotta be honest. I feel like it doesn't mean that you're a miserable life. It's just it's not consistent. It's not giving you enough passion. And I'm telling you, once you're interactive in doing that, I'm telling you, someone's going to see you from that perception, not the perception of the caregiver, the nurturer, which are good things to be, but those people they haven't earned it. And if a person doesn't earn it, you will never get equal give and take reciprocity. And that will over time make you feel resentful, which I do believe is one of the karmic lessons that was passed down. You didn't have that. But again, the karmic program was activated at this time, possibly because maybe that's the time that you witnessed it in a parent. Maybe that's again, oh my God, that's just what happens. And it's subconscious. Doesn't really matter the reason why. However, you'll find out the spiritual significance why things happen. Now, again, we want to, it's really important. Like, again, I always talk about your soul's purpose, even if you have that job, because you're gonna really feel so fulfilled, and it's going to bring you to opportunities that you didn't even think that you could have. And then you're living your bliss. And when you live your bliss, you are living your passion, right, Shayla? It's again, when you're doing your spiritual practice and you're doing your thing and you're making it, and it feels good. It's that you get nervous. Yeah, you get nervous, but it's all about for you finding your style, your unique individuality. You were never allowed to have one. That's an unfoldment process. And that only happens through, again, being led to the people and situations and experiences that, that inspire you, that shape you. And it's going to be, I take a little bit for like Marc Jacobs. Marc Jacobs doesn't just go out and make that shirt. He goes out and he goes to 1,000 runway shows. He goes to 1,000,000 different restaurants, and eats a lot of different foods with a lot of different textures, and goes a lot of different places, notices a lot of different sunsets. All these things inspire, and he takes things from everywhere to create himself, and that is really what's missing for the second chakra. Second chakra is balance, individuality, living safe, but it's really the passion for life, birthing, meaning I am bringing forth what I want to create. It's like I'm manifesting it. It's like where you're like, I am, but I'm really not. Oh, Myra, when I tap into you, you're just like, I am, and I'm happy. But I again feel like something's missing and I don't really know. And that's why I said it's just an unfoldment process. There's no, again, expectation. It's just trying something, saying, okay, well, during the week, instead of being home like maybe getting up every morning per se, and going on Facebook to your community page and looking up spiritual things, what's going on in my community, and it's about seeing again finding yourself, because you'll meet different people, But it's about sometimes saying, I just am looking for what I love. You'll find it. You'll be led to it because God helps those that help themselves. The universe then conspires to bring you what you need. But then in the process, while you're leaving or while you're coming, you meet that person. Were you looking for that person? No, I was actually on my way to an Eckhart Tolle convention. It's like where I was on my way here and I met this person, but you were in that vibe. And why were you going there? Oh, well, because I do little talks on the weekend and I met a lot of people in the community. And now this person comes down and they happen to see me at the library doing a talk. You know what I mean? That I'm interactive. I have something to talk about. I'm not have expectations of where it goes. I just like to do it. I just like to do my part in society. And it's a way that I find out what's going on in the community, or what I can find out like exciting things or new things that I wouldn't even know about because I'm more grounded. I'm more because again, when we attract that masculine energy like that, and again, that's what that energy is, of betrayal a little bit. It's again, and it's an overactive because again, those people tend to cheat and they tend to again be very sexual. But almost over the top. It's again because they're coming from that that pain. So it's that, so their second chakra is really off. And it's really off because we're not our shame, we're not empty space of I don't know who I am, and where our life is supposed to be, balanced, where there is passion, where you can stay afloat. And you stay afloat because you continually giving yourself that passion. So that, which is really important. Now, the structure of the records. Now, while interpretation varies, again, the Akashic records often contain like your personal records. So you're unique to each soul. Every single person has certain details, but it's also the about your details of your experiences and those lessons. It also has, meaning you're inheriting your collective records, which is just storing the history and evolution of humanity as a whole. And we see everything from that. There's a whole lot. And then there's the universal records containing the overreaching principles of the universe, including spiritual truths and cosmic laws. That a lot of people don't even take those into consideration. Now, practical application for, many people use the Akashic records for self-discovery and healing, and obviously by going into, their past life experiences. And this is when you would find patterns that are influencing what's happening currently in your life. That's why we know betrayal is a karmic theme for both of you. Be like, hey, like this has happened before in relationships. And I knew this person, like again, in a past life. And understand it hurts for that person too every time they lose you, every time they get in their own way. They don't show that, but that's part of, again, not being spiritually intelligent, digging themselves more into the whole meaning, sabotaging. I don't care. It's like because no one sticks around anyway. No one, because I'm a failure. No one likes me anyway. I don't. So again, in that victimization, which you'll see. I'm so thirsty, man. I got a kidney stone and I had to take nausea medicine before I got on here because I had to take a half a pet medicine pill. And it's like now I'm so damn thirsty. It's like I was conditioned in childhood not to drink water. Like, so I can go all day without drinking water. And when I get stressed out, what I learned about myself is I punish myself. I don't drink or eat anything. It's a really bizarre thing. So it's again awareness. And where did that come from? Well, in a past life, the dynamic of, and you have to understand, we live many, many lifetimes. To learn you're not separate from God, you would have to know what it feels like to be murdered, to actually be murdered, to be victimized, betrayed, like every single emotion, every single last experience, because God is all knowing. So understand, this is why we learn, and we learn by living the experience. So again, by going into your past life, you see, oh, okay, that's why that happened. Like when I was, would always be so hurt about what had transpired in life. They would always say, you got to go into your past life. And I would get so annoyed because I'm like, I don't care what happened in my past life. I don't care but they didn't really explain. It's the behaviorisms where you don't need to go into the past life Akashic records to do it. I just think it's a beautiful way. And I think I have one from my metaphysical. I I taught a class on Udemy, and so I might have an Akashic record meditation that I can send you guys. I gotta look. And if not, I'll make one. I got a new computer. So because it's a great way to incorporate into your, into a daily practice or into a practice that you do once a week for yourself or once a month. It's to check in, because every time you do the Akashic records, you will find details. So you definitely want to have a pen and paper and write down, because you get a lot of spiritual guidance when you do an Akashic record. See, again, we're opening up these higher consciousnesses. We're opening up that, and that's the whole point of the Akashic records. You're accessing your records to provide insights into your life's purpose, your relationships, and the challenges of just your life. Whether you have financial challenges, whether you have relationship. I had problems right across the board. So again, I was always in the Akashic records. Like it was like, but what you learn is different things. And what was so bizarre is when I was studying the Akashic records, I wound up like when you do healing, a lot of times I would bring that in. And one time I saw that there was this girl, and she was always like, and now I didn't like, she had a block with her father, and she was like, it was like my father like just never did didn't act like a dad, obviously, because he wasn't there. He was emotionally not available. He was like that. And so in her Akashic records, like healing, it showed up that her father watched her drowned, and that her father drowned, like again didn't help her. So again, it's where she always felt the need that someone needed to rescue her, to help her. So she again was walking around with that victimization, but because of that, of watching, a parent not help. But on a deeper level, it was scarred. Now for the child self, remember, the child self is very sensitive. It's more sensitive, obviously, than a grown adult. However, really old people begin to get really sensitive, overly sensitive again. So again, and I believe that's because their etheric layer of their aura is, again, it gets thinner. You get thinner, if that makes sense. Like when you're in your prime, it's almost like your aura is big, you're strong. Well, anyway, so we would do the Akashic record for that. We would use it for therapeutic uses. Some therapists actually do use the Akashic records again to help people really dive deep into their like sexual issues, like deep seated like trauma. Now, there's always going to be.
Laura, I have a question. So how do you tap into that? Does it come through dreams or
No, you do a meditation. That's why I said
oh, okay.
we're gonna do a meditation. But
Mhm.
but I also I am gonna look for one because I know that I did one to like again to so that you can practice on your own because
Mhm.
it's because every time you go into the Akashic Records, you're gonna see something different. It's not like, oh, I went into the Akashic Records and I, you might say, oh, I went into the Akashic Records and I was an Egyptian princess and I was so spoiled. And I like, how did you know that, Omira? I saw them carrying me and seeing someone like was feeding me grapes and fanning me, and I was and I wasn't really the nicest of people. And then it's like you're jotting this down. And then you go into the Akashic Records again, like the following week or month. Now you're like, no, that's odd. Now in this life, I was a hippie. I was a hippie, and like I was like you know and you know who was actually driving me? My ex-boyfriend. And he was the one that was actually fanning me. Like he was the one that was catering to me in a past life, and I wasn't really that nice to him. And now in this life, he kind of treated me like that. It's again, and so you're the same thing with you, Shayla. You'd be like, in past life, I was like, I was it was 1990, it was in the 20s. I was a flapper. I was a flapper, and she came in, and and it was we had this tumultuous relationship, but I told her a thing or two. I wasn't very nice. I had a lot of people interested in me. So I kind of, I played around with her mind, like she needed to give me more, that it wasn't enough. And that in this life, she did this to me. It's like, but the karmic theme and the karmic attachment. So you'll see the different themes, the same theme rather, with the same person, just in different, or you might say, well, actually, in that past life, I was a man, and that person, because again, you're just dealing with the spirit. Remember, because it's ESP through the heart and mind, you recognize the essence of that person. And that's what you said, Omira. You're like, I noticed this person's pain. I noticed this person's, and there was a need to give, to want. And so understand you went through that lesson in a past life and through whatever time period. And then what you do is like you'll see the karmic lessons and the karmic lessons that need to be learned. But you would learn in one life that you were a man, what it felt like to be that man and have that happen to you, a woman. Um, but it's always the same karmic principles, like of, well, I always feel like I'm victimized. I always feel like I lose money. I always feel like I know I had poverty. And so I was born into a family that my father was brilliant. He skipped grades in school, but wasn't good with money. He was not good. And he didn't, and now looking back, he didn't have a good self-esteem. So obviously money was difficult because again, he was that just again, like the timid type person. So my point is watching that, but understand that program was activated as soon as I was born, because I was born into a family that said, oh, you didn't learn this from past life. I'm like, what was I, murdered in the past life? What was I, poor, murdered? What else, God? What else was I, homeless? What else? No teeth? What? Like, it's like you're not drawing a really nice picture, and God says, well, again, you're evolving. You're evolving into the highest state of consciousness. So no, again, it was also the time. Again, what I said, your Akashic record says, what did you inherit collectively? What was happening? That's why I always say feel bad for the people that went through COVID, that were born during those times. They're young during those times. They watch their parents struggle and freak out, and we don't have enough money. We don't have enough money. They're going to suffer consequences because of that on a spiritual level, because they're taught that the answer is outside of them. They don't know that their purpose is that. That's why, again, we would do the Akashic Records because of that. People are skeptics, you know, because there's no real evidence, you know, and so that's the problem. And understand, relying a lot of times just on the symbolization one time is not going to be enough. That's why I said you go every time you do an Akashic record, you're not just looking for the same story. What you're looking for, or even whether you're a girl or guy, though, hey, it's good to jot those things down, but it's also to write what has happened, how it made you feel. And what you'll notice is a karmic theme like that happened. You know, it's really, the Akashic Records really, sorry, my throat.
I'm just agree with. I'm gonna piggyback off of what Elmira said.
Yeah.
So I know she was saying how she felt her ex's childhood pain. I felt and still feel those same things, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
Well, I feel like, again, because that you need to heal those with inside yourself.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And when you begin to, but that's only going to be done through doing what you love, passion. No one volunteers to do stuff that they're going to get anything out of. I mean, let's face it. You want to be consistent. You want to be able to show up for yourself. But that's really what it is. You need to reparent yourself. Now, part of it is this too. Now you say, oh, well, I did just giving to myself. No, understand, if there's nothing there and you're an empath and you're a sensitive person, because you grew up also where you went through that a little bit, maybe not to the extent, but you know how that feels. Well, of course you would want to help that person. But God says, you help yourself, and that actually helps the person. It doesn't mean that you're not nice. Understand, the person won't like that idea, but you want them to grow into who you want them to be. You guys got the guy or girl and they came broken and they stayed on that level of consciousness. And that was the problem, where spirit's like, no, 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 you need to be on a higher consciousness. If you're gonna pick this person, you gotta like make sure that they, you know what I mean? And it's that otherwise they're not gonna do that. You know, they're just not gonna do that. So, you know, really, Akashic Records offers just a captivating lens through how we can explore, you know, our just not just our soul's purpose, but really our interconnectedness of every being, of every single being, not just human beings. I think whether we view them as spiritual tools or therapeutic resources, or simply just a philosophical concept, really, you know, it helps us. Now, I really want to do a Akashic Records meditation. I want to see, I don't know whether the music, I haven't figured out a way to do music and play at the same time, but I'm going to try and see whether I can do this on my phone. Just because it's like, otherwise I'm just going to use my voice, and I will send you guys meditation too, because I think, again, the concept is to do the Akashic Records every single day. To do, or not every single day, like once a week, once a month, whatever it is, whether it's every day would be great too, but that it would be too time consuming, and then guys wouldn't want to do it. You should make it into like a spiritual ritual, like, okay, once a month I do a spiritual cleanse on myself. And part of that is, well, I do like, you know, I'll do meditation, I'll do breath work, and then maybe I'll do like an Akashic record. But I think we actually once a month probably wouldn't be enough. And the reason why is because I want you guys to see the karmic themes. If you go back to, you know, if you do it once a month, it's going to take you too long. But if you did it like, let's just say once a week, realistically, then what you'd say, well, in the past, you kept a notebook, you'd say, well, in that past life, I was a man, but I was murdered. And then you'd say, and then in the week before, I was a girl and it was 1920 and I was poisoned, you know, and then in this life, what you'll say, well, yeah, obviously you're getting better. No one killed you, but the betrayal, you know, it's the concept of betrayal. What was going on? Who were you? How did it make you feel? What was happening? Who was in the environment? You know, and all these things, and you would jot down all the little details. But what you would notice is every time you went into the Akashic records, you would be somebody different, and the time period would be different. Sometimes, maybe sometimes, if you were like, no, I'm going to really try and enter back into that you know, that life, you know, just like, no, I don't want my dream to end. I like that dream. I want to like, or I want to pick up that dream where I left off. If you ever like had to wake up and whatever, what you'll notice is you can't really do it. And that's why I'm saying what you'll notice. So it's not about picking up a story and keeping that story consistent. And I'm not saying that it can't happen, but it wouldn't be like, it would be a lot of times if that happened, then it would morph into something bad. You know, you'd be like, well, what the fuck is that? And it's like, you would never be able to have it be. And the reason why is because it's your subconscious mind, that the answers are inside of you, even in those past lives. So you're looking at, again, your habits, how your feelings, your emotions, then again, the little details. I just wanted to put that out there. I should make a template of that. I'm new to adding different concepts into the coaching, but I feel like it's important because this is not just about the etheric lesson, but when we do an Akashic record, I'm asking you to utilize all your senses. Your psychic ability and your psychic is a muscle. You want to strengthen that muscle as strong as possible because again, you have to have good discernment. You have to be strong within yourself. You don't know what goes on in your environment. It's not about what goes on in your environment. It's about making yourself strong. Because even, like I said, even a low vibe person, that they wouldn't be able to karmically give you negative karmic retribution. First of all, you would have discernment, but you would also be able to be strong to actually shape shift that person's energy. And I'm saying, would they become all of a sudden normal and every single thing you wanted them to be? No. But what it would mean is you would chip away at their ego, where they were forced to look at themselves, where most people don't look at themselves and they don't have to.
So I normally go to sleep. I always have to keep my headphones charged, and I always go to sleep meditating at night. In the dark, I feel like I can hear, especially sometimes when I'm not meditating. It has to be completely dark, no TV. I feel like I can hear and see things better.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's true because you're tapping into yourself, and that's really, and it's practice. Sometimes the visualization doesn't come until later. You know, what you'll notice is you have one primary strong psychic ability. But if you're a highly sensitive person, I think that that's a lie. I think it's two. And I'm going to tell you why. because the more you use clairsentient, the more claircognizance happens. I know I live by survival. I know that. It's like, because it's like, it's a different language. However, the visualization took me longer to get because I was so feeling. And again, but I was able to read energy. It didn't mean that I saw it. Now I see things, but that's the practice. That was not my primary. My primary was clairsentient, gut, intuition, and that it became stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. But if you live in an environment where a person's narcissistic, it's like, and you don't feel safe, well, obviously, you're going to grow that. You're going to have eyeballs in the back of your head. That's what happens because you're like, I don't trust that person. And they make me feel uneasy. But what do you think you're doing? You're tapping into all your psychic abilities. You're watching the way that the person's standing. You're listening to the tone of their voice. You're paying attention to everything. And this, again, is what grows your psychic ability. And again, we want to always use that when we are doing the Akashic Records. Now, what you guys, that's right, I was working on getting music. Let's see. I just turned YouTube on and we will meditation music. Let's see. Let's see, like if I can. I don't know what this looks like, but maybe.
I'm going to show you how to exit corporate America by replacing your
Can you
corporate
guys hear
income
that?
as a coach or consultant. And
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I don't know. Like, I know. Can you guys hear that? No, we're deaf. No. Like, I just want to make sure there's no talking.
close your eyes
Oh, there's
and
talking.
make yourself comfortable.
No.
Read the Akashic Records. Welcome.
Do not listen.
They all talk. All right. We're just gonna listen to
This
the.
is a guided meditation to
Well,
walk you through accessing your
well,
Akashic Records.
like, I mean, even so you even like you guys can use there's plenty of talking Akashic records on here, but we are going. I'm going to just use regular meditation music because I don't want that.
We acknowledge the forces of life.
I'm like, what's going on? It's usually very easy. Okay. Find a quiet space. Does that sound like loud enough for you guys? Find a quiet space. Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I just want to make sure everyone's comfortable and everyone can hear. The music is okay. It's not too loud. It's not. Can you hear it? Okay, just want to make sure. Trying to set the mode. Okay. Find a quiet space. Choose a calm, peaceful environment. You know what? We're going to, before we actually jump into the meditation, what I'm going to say, and I'm just gonna, sorry, we're gonna put that off for a second. It's like you want to also, which I almost forgot to add, you want to be able to set an intention before you like actually do the Akashic record. And it could be, this could be a question about your life or relationship or personal growth. Okay, so we want to like set an intention. That intention could be like, I want to know who this person is to me. I want to know what the lesson was. That's what I really think for all three of you guys, because all three of you guys were in bad relationships, and where it's again where you were like, what the hell was that? So what was that? What were you supposed to learn? What are the patterns again that you notice that you do? You know, that pay attention to all the little details. You guys should have, you guys have maybe even have a pad and a paper so you guys can jot down your first Akashic record, or again, just try and do the best to remember. But it's again, definitely set an intention. You want to relax and ground yourself before. So again, sit comfortably, close your eyes, and you want to take a few deep belly breaths. Focus on relaxing your body and grounding your energy. You want to be present in the moment. And then you want to, this is where, again, the practice of clairvoyancy, again, we want to visualize the records. You want to imagine a vast library of just beautiful cosmic space filled with light and knowledge, and obviously with a lot of books. You want to visualize the books, the scrolls. You want maybe again the shimmering pages, like maybe the gold like around the rims. You want to visualize the writing. Is it in cursive? Is it in written in English? Is it written like, what does the books look like? You want to visualize everything. You want to visualize like even how you are, your presence. You want to, a lot of people at one time call in their spirit guides or their totem. There's no wrong, you know, it's like you want to, because sometimes when you're walking into the Akashic records, you can be visualizing. I know I have a meditation one, like I said, because I did it for my Udemy course, and I had it first where the person started outside. They started outside and they saw a big like cathedral. And as they walked inside the cathedral, they just saw this long hallway. And this long hallway led them to this gigantic room. And it was up in the clouds, and you could see all the different books. But you would be escorted with your spirit guides. Again, and this will help you for mediumship. Again, because a lot of times we call in our other like we call in our spirit guides to protect us while we go into that realm. So you want to again visualize, you want to ask for access. You know, like you can't just go and get your book. You want to silently or aloud ask for permission to access your records. You might say something like, I asked to access my Akashic records for guidance and insight. Then what you want to do is you want to receive your insight. So you want to be open, obviously, to whatever comes to you. That's why I said you want to really pay attention to all the different details. You want to just again trust your intuition to flow and understand. You might be like, I don't know, I just saw like a lot of red. You know, it might not, it's not logically going to make sense, but the more that you do the Akashic records, the more the details show up, and you'll see like again a theme. This is where deja vu comes from. Like, this feels familiar. Well, it's because it is familiar. So again, and when you close your session, you want to feel ready. You want to thank that the records for the insight you received, visualize yourself gently closing the library doors, you know, like really visualize. again, and then you want to do your reflection and your journaling practices. Now, you want to practice regularly because of all the reasons why I said the more times that you meditate, the easier it becomes. Obviously, you want to be patient. Sometimes insights, again, may come later. You may say, well, I'm not more of that visual person. That will come the more that you do it. It's just everyone tends to have a more primary psychic ability. They just do. You want to always create a sacred space. You want to, like, again, make it nice. We'll put some crystals, some candles, light some incense, to make it like a real ritual for yourself. It'll help you, believe it or not, just help you go right into your meditation. By regularly practicing this meditation, again, you deepen your connection to your higher self, which is what we're doing here. This is the most important thing, because even though you want to know about your past life to find your habits, your condition, your patterns, like what are the lessons that you need to learn, why you meet certain people. Again, you want to be able to connect to your higher self. You want to be able to learn how to discern. You want to, again, strengthen your psychic abilities so that you can really navigate your life during like imbalanced times. It's about becoming strong. And like then this way, like I said, you can get together with the karmic mate and not reap the negative karmic retributions. All right. So let's see. Finally ready for the meditation part. I just need to do something. I'm gonna want to make it nice. And in order for me to do that, because I can't remember all of it, I am going to put that in something that I could read. Otherwise, I'm going to lose track myself. All right. Let's see. Sorry, just couldn't do this before. Now, does anyone have any questions about it before we do this meditation? And does anyone want to talk about their triggers of the week? Also, you can think about them only because we can see if they tie into the Akashic Records, your Akashic Records. It's always a fun thing. Again, and then once I tell you, then you can do a meditation and then see whether or not you pick up on any of that information.
Well, I would like to share.
Please.
I was in Colombia on vacation last week, and it was my first time in Colombia. Like about 5 years ago, I dream a lot, but I don't dream as often as I used to. And I had a dream that I know this sounds so crazy, but that I met my husband in Colombia, and I never had a desire to go to Colombia. So as I was getting ready for this trip, that dream came to my memory. So I was just like really excited. I said, "Oh, maybe I'll meet him." But I met a lot of great people. I didn't meet him, or at least I don't know if I met him, but I did meet a lot of great guys that made me have hope again,
That's
and
so
meeting
great.
that in meeting, men of high vibration and culture, and I met guys from all over the world, and not only Colombian men, but all over the world. And actually, through Instagram, I'm keeping in touch, and WhatsApp, and I started dreaming again while I was in Colombia, and I had several dreams every night. And I guess, when you say trigger, my trigger was coming back to the States.
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, I think that that would be like, I definitely think that would be, a trigger, you know,
It, it
because it's
triggered me
like,
because
I'm gonna be by myself again.
yeah, and it triggered me because I felt a lot of like almost, and I don't deal with depression, but I felt almost depressed. I felt anxiety coming back because I felt like other than my kids, there's nothing here for me. Like I don't feel like I'm home here.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
and so that's why I love to travel, and that's why every time I travel, I just feel a part of me grows more, and so I feel empty when I come back.
Feel like because you connect to people there, because
Hmm.
you're out and about, and
Hmm.
you're there for the adventure of it. And I
Hmm.
also feel like there's an essence of no expectation because you're away and connection, and then you're getting energy, you're getting attention. And I
Hmm.
also believe like, hey, you're a foreigner, you're from out of town, so you're with like exciting to these people too, right?
Hmm. Right.
And so I think that it relates to the passion that I was
Hmm.
saying, that you really shouldn't have to move to get that. I
Hmm.
get what you're saying though. Trust me, I do. I know that that feeling of there's nothing. It's just it's like that's what they said. It's like your life, like if I was to ask you how's life, you'd say it's okay.
Hmm.
Where and so you can't travel realistically, you can't travel all the time, like every second, but you can make it a part of whatever that you're doing. You know what I mean? If you were to like say, well, I decided to teach a class, or I decided to get into whatever, even though you might not say that you're into invested into the community, but I feel like there would be a reason to travel, you
Hmm.
know, like, and it's to find something, and then that once you had that, by the way, then you would be like, oh, okay, now I met so many different people. You be though seeing yourself differently, being and then having people treat you differently, just like when you're away on vacation, like I said, you're an outsider. It's exciting. Your views are different. Your life is different. You're different from me. It's like, and it's that energy. Otherwise, it's the same thing every day. It's boring. It's exciting, and you create the mystery. It's the mystery of they didn't know you, those people. It's again the mystery of who you are and that your life is different and the energy is going to be different. The whole point is to try to recreate those experience that experience when we're home. Other like, and you could obviously work, so it can't be during those times, and it can't be during obviously other times that you have other obligations. But Spirit says really that's what's missing. That's why I said you wouldn't really do what I'm telling you to do otherwise. Why would you? Your life is good. It's not, but it's a fact that there's a lack of connection to other people that can actually, how do we get love? How do we connect to, again, emotionally to people? It's through like our hobbies, our interests, what we enjoy. But it can't be solely like, oh, I like to just go swimming. You know what I mean? It has to be, yeah, because it's gonna be that solely.
Hmm.
It has to be through like something that you're really passionate about. Cooking. I teach a cooking class. Where do you do it? Where there's a lot of different places. If you again really got into it and to even take courses, you would meet people. And then through that, it's again, I'm here to do this because I like it. but I'm meeting people, and hey, I wound up meeting someone through that. Again, maybe they didn't take the cooking, but maybe they were related to someone that came to pick them up. My point is that you're not looking for it, but you're at that high vibration that you're doing something, but you're connecting on a soul level, on an emotional level that's feeding you. Because what I felt, as I told you earlier, is that I felt that energy. Like, I don't have anything here. I didn't say it like that, but I said it like, well, if I was to ask you, you'd say, how's life? Life's okay. It's like where that's what it feels like. It's like almost like I'm gonna like that forced smile, like, where it's like, no, I want you in the passion. It's like that energy is a lot different. You're going to connect to people like that. And it's also like, how could anyone let go? How can anyone let go of, like, even if that person was a complete asshole, they weren't an asshole all the time. So your brain would hold on to that 5%, that 10%, that 20%. You'd be like 60%, 60% of the time they were good. That's higher than 50%. I'll take it. Our emotional that's the way the subconscious mind works, the reptilian mind works. It says, until you replace it, this is staying right here. And that's what you can't do, because you're like, that's also what's draining your energy and making you feel like that. Because it's like, I have nothing to look forward to. It's like a lot of times, it's like what we look forward to, it doesn't even, you'd be like, every week I do this and I look forward to it, but then what happens is it opens up a whole new way where there is no way that's just for you. When the universe conspires to bring you what you need, that means your emotional well-being too, what's going to be fulfilling to you too. You know that there's an imbalance because that's what it feels like. That's not just like, but it will require change. And healing doesn't feel good, but this doesn't feel good either. So you will eventually be forced to change, because you'll be like, with you just one day, you just like, I don't want to do it. Like, that's gonna be like what it is. It's like, I just can't do it. I need something. Like, because it's uncomfortable this way, and that's why spirit saying you can meet somebody, but that imbalance is why that happens. It's not that it's because life is horrible. No, you may like work. It's about it, clearly there's a piece of pie missing, out of your pizza. And that's why, it's like that slice is when you're again in your passion. That's where your choice of focus is going to be. That's what's going to grow you. That's what's gonna make a way where there is no way for you, because God knows it's not gonna be the way that you think it's gonna be. Listen, I was a hairdresser, I told you, but I didn't know that I was gonna be a spiritualist. Spirit said I was always great with people, but the hair wasn't good. Like the spirit was like, I used that as a vehicle. I used it as a vehicle. And so again, you'll think, you put the energy out there the best way that you know how. The best way that you know how. And when you do that, that's what spirit looks at, says, I'm looking at unconditional love. That's how much this person loves what they do. It's how consistent they are. It's how, because again, mastery comes in doing. Master a lot of times starts as a disaster. We have to stay consistent, and that's how it happens. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. That's why I'm saying you wouldn't be able to fake this. You wouldn't be able to get out of this funk. It's like without continually going on vacation. And spirit saying that's really expensive to do. And you're still not getting what you want, which is the relationship. And eventually you're going to travel to a lot of other places and you'll still enjoy to do it, but it's still missing. And that's why I tell you what I tell you, not because that you can't travel, but because that energy shouldn't be there. And you're in this course because of that, that energy, because that issue happened with the relationship. And why did that happen? And why is this missing? And what needs to be done to do it? It's like there's only going to be so much meditation that you're going to want to do. And there's only going to be so long that you'd want to show up here if you don't see results. That's what I know. Because I wouldn't consistently go anywhere that I wasn't getting something out of. It'd be like, I don't care whether it was $3 a fucking month. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to do it. It's just like a waste of time. It's like, you gotta like try at least to like do the different things. And that's all for all of you, not just on Myra. It's like that. Otherwise, you're not going to see a different version of what's imbalanced. And then why bother? That's why we do it. I don't know why Spirit wanted to pick on Elmira. They just wanted to pick on Elmira. I don't know why. Last week I think it was Shayla. Who knows? Maybe the week next it'll be you, Tatiana. But it's that. It's like it's because of that. I think with you, Shayla, you're just like at that point where it's like the realization that this person is who they are. And I guess you're in a different space where you're like, you're still like, I have to have that realization of who they are, and I'm not happy of who they are. And I can't, and I feel like Tatiana is just like, I got out of that. And now it's like, you just don't want to make that same mistake again, and to find self. And really, that's what it is. And to heal. I feel like you need to heal from your childhood. And that's what you do. But understand, remember, we use the broken pieces are the best pieces when you put them in a different way. That's how spirit does it. Again, that makes a way where there is no way. Does anyone have any questions about the Akashic Records? Does anyone have any questions about anything at this point in time before we jump into the meditation? See, I was ready to jump right into the meditation, and Spirit was like, what are you doing? No questions?
No question.
Okay, so we're going to start by doing the meditation. So everyone get comfortable. You want to get comfortable. What you want to do is just get very comfortable. You want to just close your eyes. And I'm going to turn on the music for me. Oh, when is this? Now you're going to give me a hard time. Don't.
We tend to think that our spirit
Sorry
is in our
about it.
body. That's actually not correct. Your body is in your spirit.
That's pretty cool. I'm just going to start with a little prayer. Divine light, Holy Spirit, my guardians, calling in my guardian angels, my spirit guides, my totems, I want everyone in their mind to ask them to protect them from all negative forces just relax. and acknowledge this force of light protecting them. We're asking for guidance, direction, and courage. And we want to reveal our highest good and highest good of everyone connected to us. That's going to drive me crazy. I'm so irritated. They put me in this chat. So I'm going to shut this off because I don't know how to get the ding to stop. So my apologies. Okay. Okay, we want to take a deep breath in and a slow and relaxing breath out. We want to feel very relaxed. My God, stop. I don't know how to make that stop. I want to get this off. And you guys got to be kidding me. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. You may begin by seeing a beautiful bowl of a white light. And the ball of white light is very calming. It's very relaxing. Want to feel it slowly pulsating and growing. And as it does, the white light just engulfs you in this beautiful feeling of peace and love, calm and serenity. And as the ball engulfs you, you come out the other side into this beautiful field. Visualize the grass, the sun is shining, you can smell the flowers, and you look into the distance and you see a wonderful, beautiful temple. The temple of unity. Take a deep breath in. Hold it. And as you breathe out, you feel so connected with this beautiful spiritual realm. So calm and spacious. And you look around and you see books on many shelves. inside this temple. You see a long hallway, and this hallway, it's dark with just a little light. And you see these books of all different shapes and sizes. And you see the books from the bottom shelf, which is touching the floor, and it leads all the way up the wall to the top shelf that is almost touching the ceiling. The books are all different colors. And you call in your totem. And you call in your spirit guides to help you look for your book. And you go all around the first room. And you don't see your book, but you smell all the different smells. You see all the different shapes of the books. You finally walk into another room, and your totem is a flying bird. And it flies to the corner of the room. And it goes to the very top shelf. And it takes your book from that shelf. And it drops the book into your hand. And as you go through each page of your book, you are transcended into another lifetime. And within each life, you're a different person. As you walk into this new realm, you see yourself. You stare at yourself in the mirror, and you notice your hair. Notice what color your hair is in this lifetime. Notice the clothes that you were wearing. Were they ripped? Are they elegant? What time period do you see? What was going on in the environment? Was it loud? Was there music? Were you in a place? How did you feel? Notice what you feel in your body. Notice what was going on in the environment. Were there cars? Were you in the street? Were you in a home? What did the furniture look like? Do you sense anyone in your environment? Can you see them? What color is their hair? What color skin did they have? What were they wearing? How did they make you feel? Can you see what was going on in the environment? Do you recognize any of the faces from this lifetime in your previous lifetime? Or do you just recognize their energy? Imagine yourself in this lifetime. Were you succeeding at whatever you were doing? Or did you feel a lack, like something was missing? Did you feel you were happy? Notice all the sensations in your body. Notice what you are smelling in your environment. Does it smell dusty and old? Or does it smell like you're outside and you can smell the rain? What was going on at this time? Allow yourself to notice and to bask in what you feel, how you are feeling, who you're noticing. Allow yourself to come out of the room that you are in and placing your book on a table. Notice your spirit guides and your totem. Notice whether or not you sensed any of these spirit guides before. As you walk around the room, you notice every detail You feel more relaxed. And you notice little scrolls that are around the doorway. And you walk out of the temple feeling relaxed, with a new awareness of your past life, your spirit guide, your totem. You go a separate way from these entities, knowing that they will return again anytime you need them, anytime you want to enter into the Akashic Records or any etheric or astral level where you would need protection. You leave the Temple of Unity and you're back in the grove that you were in before you entered. Now that was just a quick little Akashic record thing that I just did off the cuff just because I couldn't find like my good one. But you're able to, I really want this off. How do you get this leave conversation? I just left the conversation. Okay. So so what did anyone feel anything? Did anyone sense anything? What did your rooms look like? I mean, was it a big room? Was it a small room? What did you visualize?
That was a first. It was a very big room. Took me to a place where I don't know if I was a teenager and whoever the guy was older, but I was in fight or flight. I don't know if he ended up shooting me, but I just remember just in fight and flight in the corner of a room. It was dark, it was dingy.
That was pretty scary. Like, so, and you were, and you were like in the corner scared.
Yeah.
And did they say anything to you or no?
Let's see, no, he never said anything. It was like he was pacing the floor with a shotgun. His energy.
You know what I felt like when your girlfriend used to get mad, did she pace the floor a lot? Did she was she like?
It was more so like my mom's boyfriends that she was with would pace the floors.
Somebody paced the floors again, that energy of that, but how it made you feel. Could you correlate with anything of how you felt with that previous relationship?
Yeah.
you know, just feeling afraid, feeling victimized, feeling like you're coming at me for no reason, like I didn't do anything wrong, um, and not feeling and just not feeling safe. So again, that's what I had said in the beginning, how I opened. I said that you guys, I feel like, have that wound and you need to integrate it. And the only way to integrate it is through what I shared, you know,
Mhm.
loving yourself. Otherwise, and with passion on it every single day, because it's, again, you're not, it's the not feeling safe in oneself that you're really actually healing. It's like not trusting yourself. And that's because no one would, if we're out of balance. You don't know that you're out of balance. You'd be like, no, I feel fine, but we can feel fine even when we're not fine. And it's just because we're not aware. So I just feel like, again, that's like, I would write details, again, more details on it. And again, I'm gonna make a nice one without the dinging in the background. I yell at my friend, stop. Our friend was in the hospital. They had a blood clot in their mouth, and all of a sudden they woke up with a big thing. So it was really scary. So I'm on that chain. And I don't know how to get off the ding without leaving the chain. So anyway, but I would notice, I'll make sure that I have one, because I think every time that you do the meditation, you will again notice what the karmic theme is. But I said, I know that betrayal is one, and that's the first one that we definitely want to get rid of, because that means I don't trust myself. That means I'm not satisfied. It means um there's a little bit of fear there. It also means I don't really 100% know who I am. And it's not because I don't like certain aspects of myself. And it doesn't mean that I don't know what I like. What it means is that I'm just missing. Um, again, like the extra time that the time that you gave to that person right away was too much. If you had where your life was busy with passion, you would let that person in gradually. They would have had to work for it. You would have created the mystery. And really, it's not the attraction. A person is with somebody because they're attracted. It's just a no-brainer. It's the fact of the mystery, the fact that you're like, I don't really care whether you're with me or not. There's no expectation, there is no ownership. It just is. But I give myself that love. Then you're always going to get a person that respects you, because you're teaching them right from the get-go. And really, what is betrayal at its heart? It's a victimization. It's like, you didn't respect me. And it's the one where it makes me feel like, I know I didn't do anything wrong. And Spirit says, no, you didn't do anything wrong. However, you didn't have good discernment, and you didn't have, so it's not about what you did, is the fact that you don't know how to protect yourself. And that is what's going to affect you, all your other relationships after you. When people don't heal that and integrate it, we notice that it plays out. And that's why it's not uncommon that that's what you saw, but you won't see that all the time. Like I said, sometimes you'll be like, oh, like I actually was a millionaire in that one. Can we return to that one? But you would still notice that you were lonely.
Mhm.
And so again, there would still be like this essence of, it's just, hey, that wasn't such a bad life. It just was that. And that's the whole point. So Amira, what was yours? Were you able to?
Yeah, mine was really interesting. As you guided us, you asked us to take notice of our guides. My guide was my mother, but what I remember her to be like in her late 30s, early 40s, now when she passed away. But and my totem initially was an eagle.
Oh,
And, and so
all of you have birds, by the way. But I couldn't say during time, well, you see an eagle and you're a hawk, and you're a raven. You know what I mean? I like it's I couldn't, but yes, the bird, because it's that flight, that astral level. So that was cool.
yeah, and so the room I saw myself in, it transported me back to I guess the 1950s when my mom was growing up. Like it was I was in New York City, and in the uh what would you call it, in the inner city, but it was more like for the West Side Story type of era, which
Mm.
where when the Puerto Ricans migrated to New York. So my mom showed up again in her teens as my sister.
Huh, she what? She showed up as your what?
My sister.
That's what I thought you said. So,
Yeah. So as I saw her as I was in the room, she was my older sister now. And I don't have an older sister, but she was my older sister in this. And we were getting ready, and we had like the pretty dresses from the 1950s on, and
nice.
we're going out somewhere, and and bunch with a bunch of our friends, I guess Puerto Rican guys, all dressed in that era of attire. And as I were getting ready to leave, I saw my ex, and we recognized each other. Well, not recognized each other, but it's like we were our eyes met. And he's Jamaican. And so when my mom, well, that was my sister at the time, saw him and I, like, she could sense the instant, like, as our eyes met, she grabbed me and she said, "You don't belong with him."
Mm.
And so, yeah, that's where. And then when you guided us out the room, my totem was then an owl.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah, so that's what's.
I mean, but it's possible to have like, you know, two flying totems, you know what I mean? But then if you had two flying totems, again, that's opening your like your higher chakras. They help with again, it's the medicine that the totem brings, remember. So the medicine that an eagle gives is well, they're very perceptive. They see everything. They can fly above everyone. So they're of a very higher consciousness. So we have to look at soul's path, right? We have to look at like that they can see everything. And that's the same thing as an owl. An owl is like knowing. That's my totem. An owl is knowing. It's like I don't know how I know. And an owl is actually it can come up right behind you. You don't even know that it's there. You know what I mean? And so it moves very fast. But people tend not to see, but it's that knowing. So we have two totems that have the higher chakras open, which means that your soul's path would have something to do with that. But you're supposed to utilize that, believe it or not. And so an owl is the healer. And that's what an owl is. It's again, it's medicine. When we say, oh, the medicine man, the medicine, it's again the owl is referred to that. And you would normally see the like a person with an owl head on it, and he's the medicine man in Native America. So it's again healing, and we always talk about food when healing, right? It's healing. It's a totem, but it's also like medicine. Why we say that, and it's healing. So we can and it's of higher consciousness. It's of teaching, of how to take care of oneself. which is healing. So that's why I'm saying it. I believe that you're supposed to be utilizing that. Oh no, actually, when you're in your soul's path too, you intuitively are led. Like you don't, it's like there's an internal knowing, again, no pun intended, because like I said, the owl is knowing, but it's like there's an internal knowing that it just guides you to like, that just feels right, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Why? And that's what I said that you're missing. Like, that's why spirit's like, I think that that's what that is. And then again, obviously, people warning you not to be with someone, right?
Mhm.
And so, but I think that look at your mom and your sister's relationships. Your mom's relationship, I believe, is what affected you, and your sister's relationship kind of mirrored that relationship.
Mhm.
And so they were warning you, don't do what we did.
Mhm.
We recognize that person, because again, we've lived it. We know, we recognize what that is. So I think it was like, per se, like breaking family karma. Again,
Mhm.
because you chose not to stay. You're like, I'm not putting up with it. It's like,
Mhm.
I love you, but I'm not going to put up with you. I'm not going
Mhm.
to do it. It's like, so again, breaking that karma, and then having them be like, yeah, because they were affected severely from it. So again, that's how I would take that. It's
Mhm.
again that, and what do I always say? I believe that the antidote is, believe it or not, is just to, like, we have to become ourselves. We wouldn't volunteer to change certain things. We have to have fun. It has to give us something. There has to be some sort of, that's the way that the ego works. And everybody's like that. It's like, what am I getting? It's like from it, if I'm gonna do it. And it has to, for you, the only thing that's missing is that. So that's why Spirit's saying you're not going to get it another way, because you have to break the family karma. And the family karma is not really the boyfriend, that's a manifestation of the core belief. That's the manifestation of missing something. And then
Mhm.
like you need something. And when people feel like they need that because there is nothing else, they put up with more.
Mhm.
And so it just creates balance. So I just believe that again. And the more that you do the meditation, the more that you're going to pick up on other lifetimes. It's not just going to be all that. You may in the next lifetime be like, wow, that my person was a really great person in a last life. And I was not very nice, as I said, or just different elements. So you always want to keep a pad and paper down and jot down the little things that you notice. Because, like I said, over time, you will see like all your little behaviorisms, you'll see like the habits, you'll see sabotaging behaviorisms on both parties of what you attract. And then you're able to say, well, why do I attract that? It's all for the purpose of being able to go deeper to get information. Really, that's what it is. And Tatiana, what did you experience? Tatiana, Tatiana, Tatiana. You fall asleep? You fell asleep, or am I frozen? Does anyone hear me? I see my microphone's working.
Oh, right hear you.
Okay. I know, like I was like, wait, maybe I'm frozen, like I've been on for quite a while. You know what I'm saying? Like, did it stop? Did it stop working? I don't think that there's a rule of how it goes. Oh, she logged off. So odd. Okay. Well, maybe she didn't want to share. She didn't need to log off. Or maybe her internet went. Um,
Yeah.
So does anyone have any questions or want to know? Oh, I feel bad. I feel bad. Was it too long? Was the class too long? Maybe too long. It's like I wrote that in the email though. I said it could possibly go, but you know, there's a lot of information.
I
No,
enjoyed
good.
it, to
I'm
be honest.
glad.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of information about it and why we do it. And oh, there's Tatiana. She came back. Hey, welcome. I was like, well, she didn't want to share.
I go back and forth with sharing. I couldn't unmute, and then I accidentally left. So I was like, okay, this is great. So that whole experience was weird. Not as weird as the Akashic Records reading. So starting off, I juggled between like, as soon as you said birds, I was like, oh, it's a hawk. And then I went to, no, it's got to be an eagle. And then I bounced to an owl because I was like, I don't know if an eagle's enough. And I went back to an eagle. And so I landed on eagle. That tracks for indecisiveness. And I felt like everything came pretty steadily after that. I ended up, weirdly enough, on like some, I don't know, like open nature cliff with windy day and waves crashing, and you're just kind of looking below to like, you could plummet to your death, but you're nowhere near the edge, so you're fine. And looking around and just experiencing the environment. There was a young man there, no idea who he was. And then there was another, probably middle-aged man there, and then a small child, and they all came separately with each other. And with the small child and the middle-aged man that was holding their hands. Not much else going on in the environment, just open nature as far as I could see it. It seemed like it was somewhere in between like the colonial, maybe pilgrimage times because of the weird dress I was wearing.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I don't know. I have no idea, but it was not like a fancy dress. It was like a, I don't know, one of those like tiered weird dresses, not something I would ever wear like in this day and age.
Was it like a prairie dress? Like was it
Yeah.
high? Was
Yeah.
it collar high? Like it was it uncomfortable? Did it make you feel like, because it's funny that you say that. I'm out in the prairie and I'm open, like, and I'm looking and I can plummet to my death. Did you want to plummet to your death?
No, I just thought it was really far up. I was like, wow, that's interesting. Anyways, no, I did not want to plummet to my death, not in that moment. And then aside from that, it was just nothing, like a bunch of nothingness. And then as we're leaving the Akashic Records experience, that's when I saw a bunch of my passed on loved ones, which brought tears to the eyes. And then also, weirdly enough, lions and a dragon. Don't ask, I have no idea. But they were all friendly and I love them.
But it felt very fantasy.
Yeah, definitely. I was like, definitely different timeline. I was like, let's go back to that timeline. That sounds fun.
Right. And I wonder, and did you feel free, like again on top of that like cliff? Did you feel free, like meaning did you feel light, like you felt good, or you just was like there and just didn't really feel anything one way or the other about it?
I think the most that I felt was like happiness when I was holding the small child's hand, but that was, everything else was pretty neutral. I was confused by the middle-aged man. I was like, why are we holding hands? What are you doing here?
So when you held the small child's hand, that could have been your hand, you know, and
Absolutely.
and I think that the older guy, it's exactly that. I don't know who you are, like, but it's again someone in your environment that you grew up with, and you're like, I don't really know who you are. It's a symbolization of that. Do you have a brother?
No, stepbrothers.
Okay. Do you feel that way towards any one of your stepbrothers? Like, I don't really.
Absolutely not.
You're close with them?
No, not at all.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah.
that's the energy of I don't even know you at all, like almost like made you feel a little bit uncomfortable.
For
Like
sure.
and that was the feeling that you had as a child, and that you're not really a worry person. You're not like a worrying type person. If anything, you're really like a free spirit, a kindred spirit, because you're like, I don't fear lions, I don't fear dragons, I don't fear like anything. It's like, but this person was scary. People are scary. It's like the people, it's again, and
I,
it's protecting that person. And I feel like that person has shown up a few times in your life. Like who, like, it's not really the person just makes you feel uncomfortable. And
yeah.
possibly again, what are you doing in my environment? Again, where that would be as a child. I, I have a mother and a father, and this was my family, and now I don't have a mother and father together, and I have a new family. So what the hell are you doing here? You know what I mean? Like, it's like
Every time.
right, because I don't really feel like connected to you at all.
Yeah. Every stepfather, every stepmother. I was like, all right.
Like it was no emotional connection. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times that step parents can make you feel that way too. It's like the kids are just like that collateral. And I don't feel like that people deliberately do that. I just feel like it was the humdrum. I feel like your parents worked a lot, and everybody was just together, and you just kind of were like, I don't really feel like I fit in with these people.
Absolutely. To this day.
Right. But that has shaped some of your relationships
Oh, big time.
when we go deeper into it. And that's why it's relevant, because it's like you're saying, like, I'm here now to protect you. And I'm here to protect you from that person. And I'm telling you that person's weird. Like I'm telling you that person's weird. So it's okay. Again, the prairie time, I feel like it just means like it's outdated.
Exactly. That's
No,
what it felt like.
yeah, like it's outdated thinking, it's outdated clothing, it's clothing that you would never wear. So it's
Ever.
right. So it's not even part of your story. It's like it seemed like out of touch, and so
Exactly.
and the different time period it was just a different period, like
Hmm.
different phase. Like we all have different cycles like of life. And I was saying, one upsetting thing, like with my husband passing, it's like my husband's like family, they really won't let me grieve. So I'm like, tried to take the time, and they're trying to speed everything along. And I was like, why am I so resistant? And I said, because it's the end of a period. It's the end of a
Hmm.
time, and so sometimes it's like, again, we have to allow ourselves um to grieve that time. And I think it was like, because if you were so nervous and didn't feel like you fit in, and these, people, everyone had to keep an eye on you, and it's like, then you kind of just felt like all the time, I don't feel like, I feel awkward. I feel like
Yeah.
and that's the energy that I felt that you would need to integrate, like where spirit's like, that's not an energy. And you're like, no, it is. you know? Trust me, I'm wearing it like a coat.
Time to take that coat off and throw it
Right,
in the garbage. I'm done.
right. But if you put it in a different context, it's really kind of cool, because it means
Yeah.
that you're like a one of a kind. That you're very sensitive, you're very empathetic, that it's, again, you're one of a kind, and that um to step into that, part of yourself. It's, again, become yourself, and to definitely to do healing work. because you're again a highly sensitive. Grow your psychic abilities. It's again, it's a muscle. Just the way that you would learn something in school, just takes time. Different visualizations, different make you into a good reader or coach, or again, and become yourself. Because what you'll learn is you'll meet a lot of those brothers along the way, and you'll understand them from a different perception, that they too, I feel like, well, from my side, and this is really what I'm feeling from my side, we were thrown together and it was awkward for all of us. And we had each other though, where you didn't. And
Mhm.
so that's another dynamic, by the way, of, well, I'm always over here by myself, and and spirit would say, well, it doesn't need to be that way. You need to become yourself so you'll find your tribe. And that's that we don't find our tribe first. You will never find your tribe first. It doesn't mean you won't make a friend along the way. You will, and again, but sometimes those friendships you grow out of, and that would happen for you. You'd be like, well, I have friends, but it's like a lot of times they don't stay. And spirit says, because of where you were as you evolve, just certain people are just not going to satisfy. It's just not going to. And that, and spirit says, but when you grow yourself as a highly sensitive, for you can get hyper fixated in the things that you like to do. Otherwise, you
Yep.
won't at all. Like, you can see that
Yep.
two speeds, and
Two
so
extremes.
right, and that's an empath. So your walk would be balance. And so the again, the imbalance is feeling inadequate, is feeling.
Yeah.
And you go back to your thing, it's like, again, why did I decide to wear that dress on the cliff? Get a
Makes
different
zero
body,
sense.
damn it.
Yeah.
But I just think that it's like at that point, it's to be able to see these people different in a different dynamic. And I think that you will, because like you're no longer that person. You'll understand. And not saying, oh, for you to be like, okay, oh, Myra, thank you so much for joining. And I'll send you that repeat.
Okay, thanks, Laura. I just didn't want to interrupt. I have to go get my daughter from a football game. So
No, I know.
Oh, fun.
I know. I'm
good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye. So, that's really what I think. I think that for you, it's about finding balance. You find balance through, like finding yourself, but making sure that you're giving to yourself and becoming yourself. Then you meet your tribe, you meet your real people, because people that are going to be like, I resonate with this person gets me. It's like, and that's because, not really feeling that you connect to someone. I feel like as a kid, you were just more like quiet, shy by yourself, it's like,
Mhm.
and part of that was, it was just easier to fly underneath the radar, where spirit saying, well, remember what helped you survive. Now it's about helping, like turning it around to like, again, integrate, because that is going to help you thrive within those parts. Because for you, really, it's like your first and second chakra, like need that healing, need that grounding, and that doesn't happen unless if you're an empath. And I know I'm an empath, and so it's like I need to be entertained.
Same.
Otherwise, I'm not going to show up. I'm not going to be good, and I'm not going to, because I'll daydream. I don't
Yeah,
care.
me too. Yeah.
Right. That's why I'm saying it's to ground those higher spiritual energies, because the issue is that when we're like that, we're not as grounded, and we make a lot of mistakes then, and then people tend to think that we're flaky, and then we're like, fuck you. And then it's
Exactly.
right. And so we don't want to go that way, because
No.
spirit says, oh, look at that sabotaging behaviorisms. And then it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can screw yourself too. You know,
Yes,
right? Because it's like it's frustrating. It's
totally,
frustrating. It's like I feel like I can't make my life work. Where it's like you can.
totally.
I
I'm on board with that. I've done it before. I'll do it again.
right.
It's in process. It's in process.
And I think that it's normal that we like it's all everybody like has to reinvent themselves, and when they have to reinvent
Yeah.
from time to time, it's like it's a little rusty in the beginning because we don't really know. It's an unfoldment process. So again, more grounding. And that's for anybody that has a lot of bird totems. It would be okay, I need more grounding because the higher chakras are good. But if I'm not grounding it, I'm not seeing it come into fruition, and then I'm not being able to have a new life. And that's really what it is. We're
Yeah.
just going to heal those things from a more spiritual perspective because you're more spiritual. It's going to be easier instead of, oh, we're just going to run out there and like and feel inadequate. It doesn't, no.
No, absolutely not.
Right. And that's what they say. But I mean, and there's different things that you can do to start and continue, and then make you where you can consistent without having to be a slave to it.
Great.
And I
Yeah,
think
let's.
that's it. It's hard though, because when you're really into something and you really get fixated the way that we do, then what happens is, like, I noticed that I was doing videos, like every single day, and I was doing like four videos, 5 videos a day, and then sometimes
What?
and then I felt like I got stuck. And then
Yeah.
my friends were like asking me to hang out, and I was like, I said, I don't know. I said, what am I like? Blonde? And my friend goes, first of all, your husband died. Like, second of all, like we forget that you need to take time and it needs to be balanced, and that it's like there's a sense of you always have to have fun with it. And the moment that whatever you're doing isn't fun, you need to take a step back and
Okay.
take a different approach, because sometimes it's just you're getting like redirected. Sometimes it's a way you find your style, but if you're trying to do something to the point where you're like, it's not working, then spirit's like, well, then you need to take a little time. It's like there's an illusion that if this is what I'm supposed to do, aren't I supposed to be perfect at it? And spirit says,
Oh, yeah.
mastery comes in doing. The Beatles didn't just go into the recording studio every single time and put out good music. There was many days that they said, we're cutting it early.
Hmm.
And that's every band, every artist, every person. We're cutting it early. We're not going in today. I need a break. I need to regroup. There's a thing called writer's block. Same thing. The good person,
Yeah.
great writer, but they're blocked. And it's because there's a process. And that's the thing. Yes, the more that you do it, the easier it becomes. But it's just an unfoldment process. And I say that because you were always made to feel inadequate. So it's again, and feeling not to fit in, that there is no process. It's actually, it's perfect the way that it is. And you're going to attract the right people, the people that are supposed to come into your life, the people that are just by becoming yourself. It's like there's no secret. That is the secret. The secret is just become what you love, do what you love. The more that you do it, the more that you get better with it. The more that you do it, that means that you're interactive in it, in all different mediums. It means all different mediums. In order for me to stay afloat, I have to do a lot of different things. I don't just do coaching, I do readings. I came out with an oracle system. I have a few books out. I haven't promoted anything because my husband, I said, I'll do it after my husband dies. And now it's like,
Hmm.
oh my God, how the fuck am I going to promote all this shit? Whereas, that was a fallacy, that was a lie
Yeah.
procrastination
Yeah.
because you
Of
just didn't
course.
want to do it. And now
Yeah.
you made a bigger mess. So where's Right. So I still have to find the style, but that's
Yeah.
not the process. So, and it doesn't matter how long a person's been doing this. It doesn't matter what the field is or the expert. Everybody has that. It's like, and I say that only because you were not allowed to have your process. And when you're not, and neither were you, Sheila, and when you are not allowed to have your process, you're going to judge your process.
Hmm.
That will make the block worse. It'll make it
Great.
locked in. So no judgment. It's again, we're just having a good time. It's like,
Yeah.
and the more that you do that and find yourself, the more that I'm telling you, it'll grow. The illusion, it has to be ugly. The illusion is like, oh, I got to get this job and work from home. The illusion that it has to be. Empaths don't do things the way that other people do them. I am a fine expression of that. Everyone's like, you don't do it like that. Well, I do. Whatever it is. I do it my way. And so understand it's like the more that you're like that and the more unapologetic you are like that, the better it will be. Not everyone will be able to tolerate because you'll trigger them again in their own insecurity. But that's their problem. It's like you have to be true to yourself so you'll attract exactly people that are in alignment with that respect you for it. And what'll happen too is I have a lot of people that respect me, that honor my work, but they don't like me because I will tell you exactly what it is, how it is, when it is, and I'm not gonna, I won't fake the funk. I've learned to sugarcoat a little bit because spirit's like, well, this is your problem. Like, and then I'd be like, why does that person like me? I'm a nice person. It's like, really? Like you just told that person off, and I was just pointing out like, whatever it was, but it's like you tell people like about themselves and how they make you feel, and somehow it's about how you made them feel. So that's why it's like, I don't have time for that. It's almost like, no, 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 no. This is what it is. And let me tell you something. You have to be on a higher vibration to be that way and in that you have to walk the walk because you'll meet other people that are like that. And that's what it's about. I have a girlfriend, this girl like that, she owns her own business. She travels all around the world. She's dynamite, but she's also a great friend. So anytime someone needs something, and so again, she takes initiative. She's like one of those people, and I just feel like when you surround yourself with other people like that, you actually begin to see, well, I could do that. It's like it really does like matter. And I only say that because I've been like as you evolve, you lose people, as I said, because you're not the same person. So depending on the amount of healing that you need. And so part of it is to be like just be true to you and when you hold on to the things that you're passionate about, it doesn't matter who stays in your life and who doesn't, because you're actually connected to people on a whole. And I know that especially now because I didn't have any family. I lost my husband and he was my everything. He was my best friend. He was my mom, my dad, my everything. Like, listen, it's like, and I was always like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to get through. That's not that I'm not sad and not that I don't think about it, but my passion is what helps me through. And that's my connection to God. That's my connection to every single, because it's through love. I love what I do. I'm forming a connection, a relationship with you. I'm forming a relationship with Shayla. We're giving energy to each other. It's carrying me through. Believe me, it's not because I had to deal with a lot of shit with with my husband's ex-wife, who was divorced from my husband for over 40 something years, and I've been
Ooh.
for over 20 years, thinks she's entitled to something. Okay? Like, this is the reality that I live, but which is bringing up a lot of shit for me because my
Yeah.
shit was, you're not nothing. You're not nothing. Like, you're the maid, you're the this, you're not entitled. You shouldn't have that. Your life is too good. Let's fuck your life. Like literally, because I had a bully for a mother. And so,
Ugh.
and I couldn't have picked anyone more like my mother than my husband's ex-wife. I said, I couldn't have did a better job. Like, it's like, and I said, God, like that's, and literally, it's because as a kid, I ran from it. Where God says, you kept running from it. You ran away. Now, mind you, I was 40.
Oof.
I moved out and all the other. So my point is that I'm going through this scenario and I'm like, this is a piece of cake. I was so upset. Like, I was so afraid. I was like, and Spirit said, yeah, because you use your discernment and you already knew what they were going to do. So you set it up. Now they're the ones that are having a nervous breakdown. Now they're the ones that are killing themselves. Now they're the ones that have anxiety. I don't have anxiety. It's like, because I'm not in the wrong. And I was actually really nice to you guys, even up into the end. But they're upset because my husband was in hospice for a year and they didn't even know it because I didn't share it. And my husband didn't want to know that what he had, you know.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, he knew he was sick, but he didn't want to advertise it. So long and short, it's like, it's a done deal. And that's because of, and that's because of, you know, I did the right thing. And when you do the right thing, you always, I'm clear. Like, I took care of my husband in hospice, you know, like like while he was in it, I extended his life. We had a great time. Like, our bond grew stronger. It's like, it's sad to learn to leave, but I'm at peace. You guys are not in peace because you were not in his life. And so at the end of the day, it's like, we weren't able to control you. We weren't able to rewrite the script. And that's really what it is. It's like people that do wrong, they wanted to be able to come back in and pretend where no, Spirit told me exactly what to, and really it was because when my husband got hit by a cab, but they had already tried to do it where Spirit said, well, you already saw who these people are. Do you think that they've changed? And it was like, even though you wanted them to change, but do you think, and I learned that from my mother, no, a person only changes when they want to change. And Spirit says, well, then you know what you have to do. You have to protect yourself because it's not about, don't focus as an empath on the children. Focus on yourself. You got to get yourself strong. And then if you want to help your children, you can help the children. But it's like, again, but you can't help the children if they're all like, again, like bombard you and steamroll you and not let you have your say. So really, I like, you're angry because I didn't fall for your little trap. And at the end of the day, it's like that reality. I got readings forever. Like, again, like it would come up even without me asking for a reading. They were like, oh, this person's going to wind up in your house. Like, literally, like, she had planned that when my husband would pass away, that she would use her son, who I raised with my husband, to have him bring her back into her back into my house and kind of leave me here during a funeral. This was their master plan. And it's like,
What?
right, which is so crazy. Again, you're not existent. You don't exist. You don't matter. But again, that was the self-entitlement that I grew up with that used to terrify me because it would be like, that doesn't even logically make sense. I would be like, but my mom is so confident and this woman's so confident that I used to like, it used to be like, I would cower down because the strong personality, extremely like self-righteous, the same, where now, like if this person says something, I laugh. I'm like you're in Delulu land, you know what I mean? But as a child, I didn't. So you get to you relive the same experiences, which
Hmm.
are karmic. Again, listen, it would have played out. I would have missed an opportunity. I wouldn't have not been able to stay on track. I wouldn't have not been able to, it would have really, I wouldn't have been able, it would have been a nightmare. And really, it would have been because I felt bad for someone else. And that was
Hmm.
my story. Well, I feel bad. And Spirit says, you need to learn this. And where now it's like, I don't feel bad because you put yourself in that position. It's like, and I don't have to feel bad for you. And I would rather give my energy and my time to like collectively to my path that gives me back equally on an emotional level, on and where it's an equal energy exchange. And Spirit says, now you got it. So it's again, yes, you're alone, Laura, like your husband died, but you're not alone because you're on YouTube and you got people that you're talking to right now. So you're not alone and you're getting something and your focus is on there and you're making something happen instead of doing something else. And that's what they didn't expect. They expected that you were going to be so devastated without the family because you didn't have a family. They remembered you about when you came into the marriage about 20 years ago, where you wanted to be so accepted and loved. Now you don't care. Now I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. Like, I'd rather be by myself.
It can get that way.
Well, I'd rather entertain myself. I can watch Netflix. I can play with my dogs.
Yeah.
I can hang out with other people. It's like I can fulfill myself. I can jump on a live stream and be interactive with people. I can do a lot of other things. And that's
Mhm.
what Spirit says. It's like life doesn't need to be repeat, but you need to notice this karmic theme. And that was one thing that I said. And when I tell you 30 years ago, when I got together with my husband, I pulled California psychics from my car like this, and I'm not lying. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? And the lady was like, why are you acting like she's your mother? And I was like, my God, I am acting like she's my mother. And I was like, and she was like, she's not your mother. It's like, but I responded to her like she was my mother. She acts exactly like my mother. And God says, yes, this is a spiritual disease. That's what it is. And
Oh,
that
gosh.
and that's what you're afraid of. But it is, the person is just one big ego now. They're not, they have so many shadows and they feel so broken and they feel so like defective that they're constantly coming from place of survival. So they're the Karen of the block. They're the complainer of the block. No one likes them. It's again, and it's because they don't like themselves and it comes out in
Hmm.
behavior. And so, because no one can walk around and be like, I hate myself, I hate myself, I hate myself, they form like a big ego, and that ego is the persona that they want you to perceive. So it'll come out as self-righteous, it'll come out as like self-entitled, where you're like, what the fuck? And what planet are you on? And it's like that they're like in their own world. It's like
Yeah.
and that at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's like it has nothing to do with we call it disease, but I call it disease because everything happens in the spiritual realm long before it happens in the physical realm, and that
Mm.
of the mind. And so abuse, my mother was abused. My Deborah was abused. She had 5 brothers that used to beat the shit out of her every day after her father walked out on her and
Mm.
married someone half her mother's age. And the mother was devastated. And then she went with a guy, and that guy left her. And then she got together with my husband, and she made my husband leave. again, because everything was like a fight, and like it was drama every day, and very manipulative to get, like, she acted like a spoiled brat, like someone that didn't just, but which happens if you don't get love, and then all of a sudden someone comes into your life and gives you love, you don't know how to accept it. You act, the more that they give you, the more that they want. And Shayla just lived through that. So she knows that that is true. And it's like, yeah, it's like they're an empty pit. The more that you give them, the more that they want. And it's true because they don't know how. And so, but that's a disease. That wasn't her fault. That her mother, that her father walked out, married somebody else. I mean, listen, that her stepsister does porn for a living, like, I mean, and supports her entire family, where she's considered like the slave of the family. I mean, do whatever you want to do. If that's what makes you happy, I don't care. But where everyone else is taking advantage and they're benefiting, that's the life that she's living.
Yeah.
And that's what she was taught was okay. And so, of course, you're going to not have a person like, that they're going to wind up in survival mode. My grandfather fought World War II. He got stationed in Bombay, India. He didn't want to go. They said, this is what's happening now. Get on the plane, and then they traumatized. How did they get through it? With alcohol. And then that alcohol became all the time. My grandfather then became New York City Fire Department, like captain of the fire department, saved people's lives. But it was so paradoxical. He had such an evil and versatile, like personality, because everything was a trigger. So he had all this anger from all that war, and seeing all that shit day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. Not to mention he was abused growing up. So there was no help. It's like that person, people form behaviorisms, habits, almost like a coding over them. That's not who that person is anymore. That's not how God intended. It's that how the psyche becomes fragmented. And it becomes fragmented where in order to compartmentalize, in order to survive. So it's like that to me is, again, if you manifest your life through the thoughts that you think and the emotions that you have, that to me is what a spiritual disease is. No one's going to tell me that that's not that. We're just not educated about that.
Right.
But we should be, because epigenetics proves that it's your environment that creates your reality. So, which means that you're in an environment that creates stress, which certain stressors will turn on certain DNAs, activate certain DNAs within your DNA, which so sickness and disease is only 5% inherited. But now you grow up in an environment where you have all these core beliefs that created all these behaviorisms that now you've got breast cancer. Your mother had breast cancer. Well, now you are in a codependent toxic relationship because your mother was in a codependent. So we can see the chain of events and they know this. They could cure cancer because it's, again, there's many different realities that play out at one time. Well, there's many different ways that you can make sure that you shut off certain DNA to make sure that you don't have cancer. They won't do it. They won't teach about the spiritual war on consciousness because they don't want you to have those rights. Not everybody. And I think, and that has nothing to do with our president or whatever. I just think
Right.
there are people in society that are like that. It's like, or you go to other countries. Look how they're living. You think, go to Dominican Republic. Why is there no middle class? It's the same thing. Go to other places, and notice, why is that? Everybody has a brain. Everybody has the imagination, because they're not allowed. China, they're not even allowed to pray to anything. Not even allowed to believe in anything. Nope, you're not allowed to believe that. Because
No. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's like you're not allowed to have like, yeah, you're not, and if they find out that you're doing, you can get into trouble because
Okay.
I know it sounds crazy.
It's just too much.
It is because it's controlling. But they'll tell you everything. You know that. They'll tell
Mhm.
you how to shit. You know, if they
No.
but no, but they would. What you're
Yeah.
supposed to look like, what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to be, but really at our very core essence, what we are is unconditional love, and we're supposed to give that. And everybody finds their path, and and like I said, and once they do, they can create their own heaven on earth. That's a promise because we
Mhm.
were all born with that spiritual sovereignty. All of us, every single, if you're here, if you're on the planet Earth, no matter who you are, no matter what you are, it's again, you're not here by mistake, you're here by a design. So you're here to remember what part of the design, and that's through finding yourself, and that's through doing what you love. And then that is what takes shape. That is what connects you to unity consciousness, where it's like, and then you're like the eagle, and the eagle does what? It flies above all the bullshit. That's what it does. Like, it'll never, an eagle won't like fight off a crow. It'll never fight off a crow. It'll never fight.
Yeah, no.
It'll just fly higher.
Mhm.
And in that it falls off, and that's what we're expected to do, as like where spirit says, and it's not always the easiest thing to do, obviously, because you're dealing with people and personalities that, again, a lot of people are in Delulu land, but does anyone have any questions or want to know anything before I close out?
All the secrets of the universe. That's what I want to know.
Really easy, please.
Cheat codes, all of that. That would be great.
We could talk about that next class.
Perfect.
What is it? What is it? All the secrets of the universe. Well, that is,
Yeah, and the cheat codes.
well, the G codes,
The
Yeah.
cheat.
the cheat codes.
There's got to be cheat codes.
Because cheat codes. I thought
Yes.
I was saying cheat codes, like prana codes. I was like, hey,
That was more sophisticated than what I had. I had
But-
cheat codes.
But I
That was
think
as sophisticated as I got.
no, but I think that's pretty cool. Hey, we got some cheat codes, just some some cheat codes, but universal laws would be that.
Yeah, no, they would be.
And the keys to unlock. So I will do a class on that. I'm like, I just have one more thing to do for my husband, and that's to go to Social Security office. And then I'm finally done because the lawyers and everyone else is going to take care. Because I said after the past 2 days, I am not dealing with any of this. I was said whatever. I didn't even know I was. See, my husband had a company, and that's what his ex-wife is after. I didn't even know
Yeah.
I was getting part of it. I
Yeah.
had like, and I was like, I thought that, so that's why she's like up in an uproar. But my husband didn't keep down papers, and it was more like they had like an agreement. Whoever died, they paid off someone to get rid of them, and they called it a day. That was it.
Mhm.
It wasn't like this big thing, but to people that don't have work, and never worked, that's what it is. But it put so much stress on me. It made me so sick that I said, that's it. I'm flying, I'm throwing my ass into working from here on out. I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. Gotta go social.
Good.
So you guys are gonna see me a lot more often. It's just, I gotta admit, ever since I got this new puppy, I find that it's hard for me to start work because it's like, well, I gotta make sure that they're okay, that they're like that he's not going to the bathroom all over the place, that he's not, So, getting a little bit into the groove, you forget that a puppy's like a baby.
Yeah,
So you think they make diapers for
they do.
They do.
Yeah.
I gotta get me some, because let me tell you. And by the way, my dog is not a Chihuahua. It's a Chiweenie.
Oh,
Oh.
fun.
I didn't know, all of a sudden I was like, why is his body getting longer?
Somebody stretched him out.
Yeah, it looks like it said he's got like my son was like, well, his legs are still like long. Like I said, yeah, but he's got a Chihuahua, like he's got a
Dachshund body, yeah.
dachshund body, but he's
Yeah.
got Chihuahua legs and head. It's so bizarre. Yeah, of course and you know why? Because when I was looking, I didn't read it properly. I read half of it. So anyway, that's what's been. But if no one has any other questions, you want to know anything, if something comes up, you could always also reach out. I'm gonna try and find my Akashic record meditation, or make one. So you guys will have one, because I think
Great.
that's important. All right.
All right.
All right, you'll see me on. I hope to see you guys on online.
Absolutely.
All right. I love
Thank you.
Bye.
you. All right. Good night.
Good
Bye.
night.